Tonight's session was tough. No other way to describe it. These 75 kilos felt much heavier than they did last week when I jumped in weight from 70. I was able to do one more rep since last time, but the way that they look, especially in the first set, I wasn't really happy with. And the last one was a very tough grinder where I wasn't really able to manage to keep my torso position, and my it was basically leaning forward, and I struggled a lot trying to keep it up. This is the one here. I couldn't for the life of me get the quads to do their job. They bailed out as soon as I got out of the hole, and then it was all posterior chain, which is quite challenging considering that it was a front squat. But I managed to get it up, although it was a very ugly rep, and then I was getting into these usual hanging leg raises with the extra 8 kilos. It was the second working set of those. The first one I performed after the 60 kilos before going into the working set on squats. This is the second set on the front squats, and it looked a bit better. I was definitely 100% focused on making this not look as ugly as the previous one. I got one less rep, so I was doing 5, but the last one, although it was a bit tough, I wasn't losing my composure and my core stability and my torso position. Also the quads were kind of back. I decided to punish them and get them to do the job that they were meant to be doing. And in the end, it was fine. I didn't really expect 75 kilos to be so heavy just a couple of weeks in. I was hoping that after last week, where I was taking it somewhat easy, I was doing 2 sets of 5 after the jump up in weight. When I was doing 70 kilos, I was doing 3 sets of 8 basically, and then just going up 5 kilos, I can barely do 10 repetitions. I will see how it looks like next week. If I can find maybe an excuse for today, is that it was an extremely cold day. I think that throughout the entire day, the temperature never really went above 0 degrees. And the commute to and from work on a bike probably took a lot of energy out of me. So if I am trying to find any external reason why the squats went the way they did, maybe this had some impact, who knows. But then after I was done with squats and the leg raises, I went over to the 45 hyper because I had some back extensions to do. 3 sets, 25 kilos. I'm slowly building up towards sets of 12 to 15 before going up in weight, and in between I was doing some upright rows with the 14 kilos, also 3 sets. And I was trying to get all the sets to be within a similar rep range. So I was going a bit lower on the first 2 so that the third one could be bumped up a little bit, and they were all staying within a similar rep range. And then as the weeks progress, I will be adding 1 or 2 reps per session depending on how I feel. Back extensions are looking good. They also felt good. I did not feel at any point like the lower back was compromised in any way. I was feeling a good contraction out of the glutes, and also a nice stretch, evenly distributed throughout the length of the hamstring. So the proximal head, the part where the muscle originates from, is being challenged, and it's not really leaving all the tension on the distal part, which sometimes I was feeling was getting a bit too much in terms of tension. Also probably keeping my feet slightly flared out helped with that. And when I was doing the upright rows, I also felt like it was good job overall. I wasn't really getting too close to failure, but on one exercise I decided that I would probably give myself a break. And since I was supersetting those straight after the back extensions, which by the way were giving me a couple of episodes of low pressure, so it's probably because I'm leaning down with the weight on the top of my back, and there is a lot of blood pumping. So as soon as I'm finished with the exercise, I had a moment where I wasn't really understanding what was going on, so I decided to sit down a little bit and rest. And then I finished off with some dips and front lever tuck raises. The tuck raises were extremely tough. At the end of this session in here, I was experiencing some cramps in under my foot, so I had to get a bit of a stretch. And the dips, also I took a bit easier. I was getting a couple of seconds rest in between these last few repetitions in the second set here, simply because I was just tired overall. It was a high volume session in the end because I was doing 3 sets of both the back extensions and upright rows, and by the end of it I was done, especially since the first set of squats really took out a lot in terms of energy. So I will just say that I'm happy that I was able to do all the sets that I had planned, and hopefully tomorrow is going to be better. Maybe not as cold. That would be great. Ciao.